So I've been journaling since I got my first Disney journal sometime in elementary school. But it wasn't until I was recovering from a stroke that I picked up a different form of journaling that gave me so much more perspective than I probably would have realized. So this is Life Reconsidered, and my name is Jenina. In the first weeks and months that I was recovering, one of the things that I was finding really challenging to do was trying to get my emotions, everything that I was feeling inside, in my head, and trying to get them down onto paper. It's like I had all the words and the emotions, but trying to actually articulate them was feeling like it wasn't as effortless as it used to be. As a person that has always been a writer and has always been able to express myself, not being able to put that on paper was a really, really big challenge for me. And that was when I felt like I needed to find a different way to kind of communicate what it was that I was feeling, if for no one else but for me, because I needed a documentation of kind of the feelings I was having and how I could process that. That I ended up picking up a voice recorder like this and just figured that if I hit the record button and then just talked, that would kind of suffice and allow me to start journaling. You know, I was still working through speech therapy in the first weeks of the stroke, but I felt like it was just more important for me to get things out as quickly and as effectively as I felt like they would come out. And all the recording that I did in that time was really eye-opening, to the point that I still keep a recorded journal. So one of the things that I appreciated about keeping a recorded journal is truthfully the stream of consciousness approach that I was able to take with it. I could just hit the record button and let the thoughts come out however they were going to come out. It felt very organic, very natural, very authentic. And it was almost like I was allowed to kind of let my brain just kind of run free. And I needed the ability to feel like I could say things however I wanted to say them and not worry about them sounding as organized or as polished. And I think when you're feeling especially vulnerable or emotional or really sensitive, sometimes you just want to be able to like ramble. It's kind of like when you talk to your best friend, someone that knows you. You don't have to worry about putting on any airs. You can just be as organic and as natural as you're going to be. And that was something that I found really, really valuable. Another thing I love about keeping an audio journal is the vulnerability. It's the tone, it's the emotion, and it's also just hearing my brain work. So it's almost like I get to hear the hiccups, the screw ups, the meandering to get to the point, and you don't realize that even having that knowledge and hearing that information is really powerful. It also allows you to kind of stay present and really process your emotions. And the funny thing is, even when I would play some of these recordings, I would find myself revisiting my feelings or recalling exactly what state I was in. And that having that kind of documentation to me was really powerful. It allowed me to really kind of understand myself and really dig into my emotions in a way that I didn't really think was possible. So another thing that I also really appreciated about keeping an audio journal is what great practice it was for speaking skills. And this was really just helpful regardless of whether or not you suffered a stroke or just aren't really comfortable in terms of kind of getting your thoughts out there in a public space. And for me, as a person that really relies on being able to kind of get my point across and speak publicly, I needed to kind of stretch myself as much and as often as I could. So that meant needing to say things out loud and get much more comfortable with stringing my thoughts together. And that was something that I needed to find a little confidence with after everything happened to me. So I figured that by keeping it a journal, audio journal, that I would have no choice but to allow myself to continue to stretch myself when it comes to speaking and forcing myself to re-immerse myself into a skill and a habit that I had always really prided myself on. And the more that I could own it and be comfortable with it, the more that I could allow myself to kind of get over the hurdle when I needed to kind of get back into that part of my life. Now, journaling is a very personal hobby, and it's up to you to find what works for you. I actually not only keep a recorded journal, but I also still write a journal because that still feels very natural and organic to me. But there are some elements that I found to be really valuable with recording that is why I continue to do it. And I love even playing back some of my recordings and stepping back into a certain feeling that I was having, or reprocessing certain insights that I may have said and didn't even realize that I said. So I think it's up to you to kind of find what is the most comfortable for you. But however you do it, just make sure that you rely on that tool to kind of reflect and process and use it to its advantage, because now that you've captured that emotion or that feeling, you have that to serve you when you need it. And I don't know, how do you keep journals? How do you write things down? How do you kind of work through what's going through your head? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscription button, and see you at the next one.